Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. Okay, good evening. Today's date is, this is the meeting of the, Prince George's County Police Accountability Board. Today's date is, December 13th, 2023. Oh, we still muted? Can we, okay. All right, cool. We can miss one.
Hey, you want me to put you on speakerphone?
No. Okay, thank you. So let me start over again. Today is, December 13th, 2023. This is the meeting of the Prince George's County Police Accountability Board. I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order at 6:49 p.m. You want to take the roll. If you are present in person, just say present. If you are attending the meeting virtually, you are a member, just please say present virtual. Mr. Sanchez?
Present.
Mrs. Springs?
Present. Ooh, present.
Mrs. Ridley?
Present.
Mr. O'Neill?
Present.
Mrs. Bryant? Danny Bergamini?
Present.
Thank you, sir. Daniel Jones? Mr. James?
Present.
Mr. Melton?
Present.
Thank you. Dr. Coleman?
Present virtually.
Thank you, and Kelvin, Mr. Laws is present. Thank you, we do have quorum. Everybody has an opportunity to pull up the agenda. It was, emailed to us, recently. Danny, you don't have it, right? You need it?
I'll follow along.
Okay, thank you, sir. We'll just go with the agenda. Yes.
Margaret Joseph is present, she was waiting for you to call her name.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And our council, Camp, is also present. Thank you. Next up on the agenda, we're going with the approval of the minutes. We do not have the minutes. The minutes were not sent out in time for, council Camp to review them, and make any edits that it is. So, is there a motion to table the minutes for our next meeting?
I move we table minutes for next meeting.
Motion made by Tamika Springs to table the minutes. Excuse me, it's a little difficult. Motion made by Tamika Springs to table the minutes, seconded by Marsha Ridley. All in favor to table the minutes to the next meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Minutes are tabled. Next up is old business, the annual report. Ms. Hall is, taking care of some other things right now, so when she comes in, we'll let her jump in. AHP update, Dr. Cole.
Jay, did you wanna, open up?
Oh, thank you, sir, yeah. You know what, I wrote it down and didn't, thank you, Mr. Melton. So if there's anybody on in the public, from the public, can you just identify yourself? If you want to, you can come off mute and just identify yourself. All right. Did anyone sign up for public comments, Ashley? All right, cool. Thank you to those of you that are attending virtually. Yes, we appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Melton, again. Since Denise is here, we will move past to the next item on the agenda, which is the AHP update. Dr. Coleman? You available to talk about that?
I am.
Oh.
I believe that the vetting process and questions were sent out via email. And so thanks to Mr. Melton, Mr. Springs, Mrs. Springs, for your contributions. And if anybody has any questions, just let us know. We can walk through it or however you want to do it, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Did everyone get an opportunity to review them? I'm trying to see what time they... Oh. You did not get an opportunity to review them. Okay.
What was this now?
The AHB questions and the vetting process.
Went out yesterday in the afternoon, I think.
That's the one that interviewed the people on the hearing board?
Yes, sir.
It's got the questions in it.
The vetting process. Did you let me see if I can find out.
I saw them. My question is, some of them was good, but I think we don't need to make them too professional. We're talking about a citizen person. Some of them was like we getting ready to hire for a PhD or something. You know what I mean? We're talking about an average citizen. And we was asking things that were, I thought was a little high level, like we was hiring to be the chairperson of that AAC or something like that. That was just my opinion. I mean, I looked at them, you know, but we're talking about community person, you know, and I think a lot of the questions that, if I'm not mistaken now, was reaction to the discussion we had in closed session. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's another issue that we need to discuss too. But that was just my opinion.
Dr. Coleman, I don't know if you wanted to respond, but I can add some context to that. I haven't worked on it. Essentially, it was also in response to some of the things we've been seeing occur with the AHB and just our ability to create a standard for any individuals going forward. It's important that we align the skills, knowledge, and abilities of an individual that we want to see ideally appointed through the questions and being able to screen them appropriately. So, Ms. O'Neill, I think if there are particular questions you have that you think maybe are going too far, maybe you could maybe take note of some of those things and maybe share those with us.
Sure.
But I think the notion that it's just a citizen it kind of goes without saying, but we just still have to have a screening process to find that right candidates that we're looking for. So the only way to do that is to create questions that address what knowledge, skills, and abilities we'd like to see them have. We recognize not everybody might have those skills, but maybe they're not cutting it for what we're looking for. So it is much like a job because there's certain duties that a person has to fulfill. And so I don't think it is, I don't think it's inappropriate to ask certain questions to try to get to what you're looking for and allow the questions to screen people out.
Okay.
And if I could just jump in here too, thanks, Mr. Milton, sort of was what I was thinking. And I was thinking as we were framing the questions is that we would get the community, that the questions would be narrow enough to where we could get appropriate applicants, which is a broad swath. It's community, it's, you know, people that may have some professional experience. I think it's going to be a combination, sort of like what we have a little bit of now. So it's really trying to find that sweet spot of making sure that folks have some requisite experience, but not making the requirements too narrow. So I think that was the thought process behind some of the questions, but just concurring with what Mr. Melton said.
James, you have your hand up.
Just a quick question for the subcommittee. At one point, I recall us talking about asking about their comfort level as far as graphic imagery or things of that nature. I thought we asked or mentioned it. It's not there, which is fine. I just wanted to make sure that wasn't something that was left out accidentally, or it could be intentionally with a purpose. So
I totally forgot about that.
Okay,
So
so,
that's definitely something we could add in.
Okay.
That's no problem at all.
so, Dr. Coleman, did you hear Mr. James's comment?
I did.
Okay, so, if we want, I know Mr. O'Neill was suggesting, some questions too. So what, is the latest that the subcommittee would like any additional comments or questions submitted to you guys? We can get that put in it too.
Our deadline was like 17. You have a deadline for the
Let's see.
We should probably discuss that first, because, I know Denise had mentioned that there's a training that's coming up in the middle of January for HB members.
Right,
But I think it's unrealistic to think that we're gonna make that deadline.
right.
And I think we need to be very careful about our process and making sure that everyone's comfortable with the process, and the candidates. Right now, I believe, Denise, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we have there's two HB, hearings that have been scheduled or are in the pipeline.
There's one that's occurring tomorrow and one that's in the pipeline for February 7th.
Right. And then the next, they're gonna do the trainings forward, so if they do one in January.
The next one probably won't occur until.
Right. So, but looking at where we're at now, if someone's submitting to get into the pipeline to have an HB hearing, they're probably gonna be late February, early March.
Well, we're hoping that's the case. The one that we have coming up tomorrow was expedited by the Office of Administrative Affairs, so the turnaround time was really from them getting the request to them actually giving a date was very quick.
Okay. And then how many AHB members do we have that have been cleared through everything that are available?
Two, since we did, we've been going back retroactively and doing some things, two.
Okay. So I think it's important, right, that everyone kind of be aware of where that is, as we consider then, we want to have people available to go in April, right? And so I think that gives the committee and the board a little bit of time to tighten it up.
My comments, not to hold nothing up.
No.
I want you to, if we gotta pass it today, we can pass it. I just make a comment. And I ain't sending no questions or nothing. That was just a comment.
Okay, but that's for,
And I'm just saying, don't wait for me to give you the questions, that's gonna hold up the process.
Oh,
That's all.
no.
I don't wanna do that. I think if we gotta get it out as soon as possible, send it out. I mean, I was just making a FYI comment. That's just mine.
well, I think that one of the things that's most important is, I know a lot of times we're up against, a lot of deadlines, but this being such an integral, very important piece of the component of, the makeup of HB 670, I think we need to give it the time that it's due. And understanding, like you said, Mr. Vice Chair, that I think it can wait. I mean, if we have any other questions, let everybody get an opportunity to do it. And one of the things I would like to hear back is from the members that are not here, to do that. So just to give them an opportunity to review them, and then we can have, whatever subcommittee date, we can say the 17th or whatever you guys deem feasible, we can do that. But I think that this process is so important, so we can avoid any type of, hiccups along the way, because it's really, really important for that. So, I mean, if everybody's in agreement with that, I don't wanna hold something up just to push it through, rush it through. Mr. Vice Chair, what do you think?
Yeah, that sounds good. The other thing to consider is we also have to look at the process that the subcommittee came up with, which would be appointing a subcommittee that would review applicants 10 at a time and set up those interviews for us as well.
I like that, right.
So that process, I think, so we have to look at not just the questions, but I would say if we're looking for feedback, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're looking for feedback, it's not just on the questions, but also the process and making sure that everyone's comfortable with the process as you guys have laid it out, right?
Is that okay, Dr. Coleman and Mr. Milton? You guys okay with that? Okay.
Yeah.
So what deadline would you like to set then?
I mean, I know that we were gonna discuss having a meeting. I would even say, for me, if we are gonna have a meeting by the next meeting, which was, I think, was the 27th.
Yes, sir.
I mean, what is that, 2 weeks? Questions should take no time to review and add comment, if you have any, but the process itself, and that shouldn't take long either, so I feel like 2 weeks is enough.
I was thinking that we would give them a week,
Right.
so we can then
Give it to
review
you, right?
and then come back at the meeting, but
Yeah,
2 weeks is fine.
Okay.
2 weeks is fine. We'll give them, 2 weeks is good.
Okay.
2 weeks. But we won't be coming back after that, so 2 weeks.
Maybe we say before the meeting, so even if it is
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Right.
Maybe just before the meeting, prior to us showing.
at least by next week, that way it gives you guys an opportunity to kind of look it over and put it together for the following week of our meeting. That'd be the 20th, right? Yep. Okay. So can we set a deadline to have that done by the 20th? Have everything to the subcommittee? And we'll discuss that at the meeting.
On the
But, yes,
27th?
yes, but by that time, we've all had an opportunity to review it, and so like Mr. Melvin said, we can just pretty much go ahead and vote on it. I'm just writing that down. Ms. Spring said 2 weeks is good enough.
More than enough.
Right, she said more than enough.
More than
We're
enough,
gonna do it.
she said.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a quarter accurate.
That's right. That's what happens from overachieving, right? All right, cool. Thank you. Dr. Coleman, did you have anything else on that? Is that okay?
No, it's good. I'm good.
Okay, thank you. So we'll go back. Did anyone have anything else on that? I'm sorry. All right, cool. Let's go back. Ms. Hall, we, moved you. Can you go ahead and, speak about the annual report? See you on the agenda.
Did you just tell me to speak on the
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I know you're going back, but if it's okay, I'm coming in and out, so can I do my two? And then,
Okay. Oh, yes, ma'am. Okay. You ready, Ms., so let me come back to you if that's okay, Ms. Hall. And I'll go to, Council Camp. Yes, ma'am. You have the floor?
thank you. On the action updates, you should have received a copy up through, the last meeting. So, and it has the updated times. So if you would review that, we don't have to go over it, but it should have been handed out or, emailed. And as it relates to the strategic plan, the leadership team had a meeting, and what we discussed is, given the time sensitivity of the annual report and the need to go over the sections that were submitted as well as the case reviews, the leadership has asked that we put that on hold until the annual report items are completed. But you should have also gotten I apologize. I should say thank you to Dr. Coleman and Mr. Melton. We did meet to go over the draft and have completed a final draft for review. So you should have either received it there or received it by way of email, so that if you review it, we will be ready at the next meeting for to discuss and vote.
Okay, and that was sent out, I thought I saw it. You don't have it, Mr. James?
I don't have the tracker or, draft document that you mentioned.
Carlos is all I got for this.
All right, hold on one second. Denise, let me see if I can find it. Thought I saw
I
it.
didn't get that until, late today.
So,
I've been in Houston for that.
can you send that out now to us, and then we can review that?
I'll just send a copy of it, later today.
Can you hear me, Marva Jo?
I can hear you, sir.
Okay, cool, all right.
So
So
that,
Denise said
Ms. Hall is gonna send those two documents out.
I'm gonna send it to him now. It came after the last time I looked at my email.
Yep, she's going to, okay. All right, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I misspoke. As I said, I haven't received the last minutes to review. So what you'll see on the action items go from the meeting where we updated it for those things that would be discussed on 12/13 today. And that's as far as it goes.
All right.
So that ends my two reports, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Thank you, Council Camp. Next up. So Denise, you said you're going to send that out today? Okay.
Put the addresses in there.
All right, cool. So we'll take a look at that too. Next up is outreach activities plan, Vice Chair.
Sure. So in the last few weeks,
I've gone through and various members had provided feedback on, an outreach plan and a general idea of groups we should target, and meetings we should potentially have, and all that. And so what I've done is I've put together actually, it was really kind of lucky. When we were at NACOL, I was in a session where they talked about outreach plans and primary and secondary stakeholders. And so the list that we have is like 90% of what they suggested. But we've actually been reached out to one of the other groups as well, who I think they wanted to meet with us when we just got started. And it's the families of victims of police, you know, like when the incidents happen and the families. So they would also like to meet with us, and that was part that wasn't in the plan. And so what we want to do is, and I wanted to just have a quick sort of conversation about this so that I can send you guys a plan, because there's a couple of questions that I had, and I didn't want to present a plan that didn't have those a little bit more concrete. We're going to start setting up those meetings so that we can meet with specific strategic stakeholders that are primary stakeholders, right? That's going to include chiefs of police, that's going to include the municipality leaders, mayors, and council members. It's going to include the FOP, that's going to include the families of victims of police violence, right? But also in that, we want to start making outreaches to the community, right? And when we say community, I think that's it's a very vague term, because we have civic associations, we have HOA associations, and the county, as you guys all know, is huge, right? And lots of these groups. And so in conversations that we've been having, we want to put something together early in 2024 where we can have a meeting where we can invite all those folks to be in a meeting where the presentation that Ms. Bryant had provided to us that we're working on editing, we could present that. We could introduce ourselves. We could go over the annual report by then, because it'll be complete by then, and also be able to have conversations where people from the community are able to respond back to us and provide some feedback. So the challenge is, if we want to be broad and far-reaching, right, then virtual is kind of the easiest way to do that, because we can go from South County to North County and say, hey, you're all invited and you can come to this. But as you know, there's a difference in impact from having people in a room to having people on a screen and participation. And so I wanted to talk with everyone to see, do we pick a central location to have a meeting, to give people 4 to 6 weeks of intense pushing out that we're having this meeting, and then hold a meeting in person? Or do we instead rely on our networks and our resources we've been picked from throughout the county to have something virtual where we're then reaching out to folks that we've been engaging with to make sure that they're at least present at that? And we'd probably be able to get decent numbers, but once again, it's also kind of up in the air. Yes, sir?
Can't you do a hybrid meeting?
We could offer a Zoom link to, people wouldn't be able to participate, they could view, but I think the challenge, and I wouldn't want to put too much of a burden on staff to say, okay, well, if you're on Zoom, you can also ask questions and things like that, because then we get into sound and everything else. So we can invite people with them knowing they'll be able to view, and maybe they can leave responses in chat, or we can give them an email that they can send feedback to, and we could do that as well. But how does everyone feel? And I think it's an important conversation. Let's say middle of February, we have an event that is, we could call it a town hall, we could call it a forum. It's a chance for us to present ourselves formally as a board, having completed our strategic plan, having our first full year annual report done, having reviewed cases. In the lead up to that, we would schedule a couple of meetings with key stakeholders so that everyone is comfortable having kind of talked to folks that bring different perspectives around policing. So once again, right, that's kind of a decision that we can make together. And then, but I wanted to hear what everyone thought. I think that's a great idea to do something hybrid.
I don't think we're restricted on having a view only if we have hybrid. Probably some sort of resources in the county. We have to borrow it somewhere, like, where we could have hybrid. Have people
Participate.
and participate. I think, I agree with you that it becomes challenging though.
Yeah.
You do have to work a little harder to moderate the conversation.
Yeah.
So Teams does have a Q&A function where you can leave sound and chat off, or, you know, you can leave the cameras off, and then they can just submit. So we could also give instructions at the beginning on how to submit something. That could just be moderate those actual questions. And we could promise that we won't get to all of them. We'll get to as many as we can. But I love the idea of doing more of a more open forum initially, because if we do sort of segmented piece by piece, neighborhood by neighborhood up front, people will wonder, well, when are you going to get to us? So if you do something more widespread early on, you can do some of the more smaller things after that. But you at least had started with something that was more broadly open to more people.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
I would consider in person. I would consider doing at least 3, I think, and being able to put those dates out so people know where those locations and what dates may work for them.
So when you say 3, you mean like within that span of time? So if we're talking like first 2-3 months of the year.
Correct.
Do 3 and just
Like North.
I'm just saying 3. Geographics matter to me, and also don't want it to appear as if it's a one opportunity.
Oh, sure, no.
So just by planning out 3, I think that allows for it. I would also couch it more in terms of a listening session. I hear the questions coming in, but I don't think we are in a position to answer specific questions. So I wouldn't want to set that expectation with the community either. We should let them know what the Police Accountability Board can do, how to reach all those things. We can talk about the report, but if we set it up as if it's a question and answer, we'll find ourselves, I think, not able to answer questions for a really good reason.
Yeah. The other, and I'm just throwing this out there, because the other sort of way of putting this that I was thinking was calling it an information session, so people can come and get information from us. Hey, here's what we do. If you have complaints, here's how the complaints work. Here's how many departments we're looking at, right? So that we're providing information back to people so they start to understand, right? We could even go through the annual report and maybe highlight some of those areas, because I know we want to talk about definitions of case outcomes and things like that. So, hey, if you go online and if you see it says this is what it means, right? And I think it's us being able to give tools to folks that are also viewing that.
I just have a question. So, are we saying we're introducing ourselves, providing information, or are we saying town hall?
Well,
that's the 2 different things I'm trying to figure out what we're doing. I'm going back and forth because I feel like we've already been introduced. We've been a lot of places. We've spoken to, we had the chair, vice chair, you guys have spoken with Brian, different places.
Sure.
Everyone can go online, see who we are. So I feel like Ms. James is correct. We do need to be prepared, and we won't be able to answer some questions, but I think you invite, people are more willing to come if they can at least get some information. Because if we do a listening session, I mean, I'm gonna go all the time listening to you speak, but I can't answer that one question.
Yeah.
Especially in person. Like, I'm not showing up to just listen and then leave.
So, I mean,
Or to just say my piece and not have a response.
Right.
so I don't,
We can, fine. We could define.
That's what I'm saying, I
what
think
he's
he's
gonna
right though.
answer.
We
Yeah,
gotta
yeah,
It could be
yeah,
confined, and the
yeah.
parameters could be about us,
Sure.
like the PAB, ask questions about us, but we're not answering any questions about a case.
Yeah, you can't say like, hey, the other day this
Right,
happened,
right.
what is gonna happen with, yeah. Oh, sorry, yeah, go ahead, yeah.
What time of day are you talking about having these meetings?
I mean, this would be in the evening, we would do it in the
All of
evening.
them would just only be in the evening?
Yeah, I mean, unless you, I mean,
I'm just asking.
yeah, but, I mean, that's ideally, 'cause we want people to participate, so we wanna do it 7:30 maybe, right? When
Mhm.
people are off work, and it's not too early where we're still getting people who are stuck in traffic, giving people time to be able to go home, then commute to a location, so that's what I envision.
And of course, we would pick, facilities as accessible.
Sure, absolutely. I think the easiest thing for us would be to go through community centers,
Okay.
right? 'Cause they're gonna have everything that we're gonna need there. And then it'll be easier if we're asking for help from the county for specific things, they have resources already in place there.
Right.
Oh, high schools.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what kind of crowd we might draw, but some of the community centers are small, so.
Oh, right.
If we can get help from the county, that might, I wonder if, I don't wanna get too much into the weeds. RSVPs could help us get
Sure, at least have a head count.
yeah.
Yeah, register before, that would be great, and also to register to speak possibly,
And then still have a sign-in table.
yeah.
Because I think the important thing too is we wanna capture people
Mhm.
so that if we're getting them, then we have a way to reach back out. You submit a question, if we can't get you the answer, maybe we can connect you with someone, right? And we can send that information back, like we can be a little bit more proactive. I'm gonna go to him and then,
No, I agree, we have it, 3 meetings to start off, in the public. People ask questions, but we, like we had talked from the beginning, we tell people who we are. Questions get too deep, they said, we can't tell them as it relates to our PowerPoint presentation and what we do, and the breakdown, how the cases are handled. If the question's about that, it's good, but I think we need to have it in public, because that's like, I think the county, sometimes the county council have, the budget meetings. They present it, people ask questions about it.
oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's where we should do our stuff. But it's basically the thing that so people can understand. I think everybody thinks Police Accountability Board, they think about Prince George County Police.
Right.
They
Yeah, we have to let them know.
all this, and if the PowerPoint presentation does that. And we can also tell them, this ain't the end. This is the first 3, and we have more, we have smaller meetings like that. But I think, we should, and the 3 would be that, like north, south, central, you know what I mean? The people come, and like you say, they, like, in south, we had, they did it at Friendly, they see 1,000 people. Oxon Hill, they have meetings there too. Central High School, Wise, or in the north, I don't know,
Sounds like Mr. O'Neill's gonna do research for us in South County.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I'm just saying, that's the deal, we can get places, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But we need to do that. The other thing needs to be a general meeting. First year, we had a lot of meetings with police. We need to start beginning this off to tell the public, get outreach into the community, and tell them what we're doing. I'm not saying we don't meet with the police, but we have to basically, get this stuff out to the community just to tell us what we do in the history and all that kind of stuff. I mean, and once we get through that, people will get, well, I can't ask them about when they knock juju upside the head, something like that. We ain't talking about that. You know what I mean?
Right.
They filed it 3 months. We ain't talking about that.
Right, yeah, we could set some ground rules, yeah.
Yeah.
In that same document, you could solicit
I think that one of the first one is going to, after that, I think we'll look at how we tweak it based off of having that experience going to having the first, whatever the town hall or session is. I think that based off of the feedback, and I think that what we can do is have a feedback form, so we'll have an opportunity for the people that attend to provide some feedback on some of the things that they would like to hear. We do know that we can't speak, about specifics, and we really don't want to hear about individual and anecdotal things, because our job is to present it, and I think a lot of the public needs to be educated on HB 670, to understand what that piece really is, and to understand the process. And one of the things I think will be good is to have that slideshow that actually animate when the cases actually start in the flowing of those cases. And then we can talk about some of the things that we will see on the annual report. And based off of the data, when we start to compile some of the data, we can speak about some of those things, some of the recommendations that we're having. But one of the things is that we really want to control the narrative is what we do and what our role is what we're mandated to do, and explain a lot of those things. Because I think pulling back, if I was a citizen, I just want to know, what is it that you guys do? Also, what is the criteria to become a part of the Police Accountability Board? That's an opportunity to advertise for AHB members as well, and then have intake forms for people who may want to be considered to be candidates for the AHB. So I think it's a great idea, and I'm sure it's going to get a tremendous amount of response. And we control the narrative, not saying that we want to silence anyone, but we want to make sure we stay away from, like Mr. O'Neill gave speaking about what happened. We understand that, and we don't want to be prejudiced by anything that we may have heard that we receive that information, because the way it may look is that, okay, you heard about, Mr. X, Y, and Z, and now such and such an outcome became, so we don't want to get, tied into a lot of things like that. But we can definitely control that narrative. One of the things I will say, and I'll be quiet after this, is that we must consider the inclement weather that may come in February. That's going to be a big thing as well. And I think it's important for us to reach out to the senior citizens as well, to get them involved in it, because they're part of this whole safety piece. And so we need to hear from them as well. We know that we're going to get a lot of millennials, hopefully, but we want our elderly in Prince George's County to know that we're there to represent them as well. So I think we need to get a push for that as well. Yes, sir.
You see, the other thing what Danny was talking about, we planned it so that we're talking about people calling in virtual. We set it up with the IT department that they assign staff at the time they're going to do that. You know what I mean? So we can have nothing will go wrong if people online or on Zoom or into the meeting and stuff like that. So we have that taken care of, because if we give them enough notice, they should be able to have, a couple of people there, because, with the screen or whatever, the cameras and stuff like that.
I'm excited. I think in January we should start really trying to put that piece together. I know that right now we have the end of the year things that we have to do. We'll get through that. And in January we can definitely do that. And like I said, this is going to be an ongoing process, so we'll start to tweak it. And then I think what will be important is to have the data from the area in which we will be conducting that meeting, so we can speak to that data specifically, and also let the county know. I think a lot of residents, and we can talk about the particulars and everything like that, but there's a lot of planning to go into that, to make sure that we give them all of the information. If whatever county we're in or part of the county, they may not want to hear about what's going on in Greenbelt and things like that. So we need to drive down to what it is that is important to them, as well as what's overall in our purview. So that was all I had. Yes.
You see, also, if we get that presentation, the PowerPoint or whatever, ready in time, even though we're doing the 3 big meetings, somebody in Greenbelt want to do a smaller meeting, a couple of us can take that PowerPoint and go to do that meeting. You know what I mean? So we're doing 2 or 3 things at the same time. It may not be all of them. That was another 13 of us, 11 of us. It could be 1 or 2 of us, doing it.
Yeah, so that's the second component of it, is that we're gonna partner people up.
Yeah.
And then
That'd be good.
the hope is that from the general meeting, right, let's say you'll get the president of one civic neighborhood association, right? And then I say, you know what, this would be great for my membership. Then we can have two people that can go with the presentation and go present that and answer some basic questions at those local meetings. But we want to start empowering folks to be comfortable and then speaking with voice, right? And if we don't have the answers to questions, we bring that back, and if we can find the resources to get those back. But this is sort of the kickoff for that, you know. This is the vision of 2024 is going to be more of us doing some more of the legwork, because we're getting a lot of, you know, we're going to get the strategic plan out of the way. We're going to get a lot of big things that we've been working on out of the way here towards the end of the year. So that'll give us an opportunity to have more time to kind of engage in these activities and get out there a little bit more. Also focus on case review, which is part of what we have to do as well. But this has been very helpful for me. So I have a plan. I'm going to add these things into the plan.
Okay.
We have a lot of documents that are going to be flying back and forth, so I won't send this now. What we'll do is after our next meeting, then I will send it out so that we can start in January having on the agenda a time to start planning these things out. And I know Tangi is online, so Tangi, I'm going to reach out to you because we're going to start planning how we're going to start booking facilities and working with the county to make sure that we have the resources that we need. If people are hearing impaired, if there's, you know, there's a lot of things that we have to consider. So, I know you're listening, Tangi. I'm going to be in touch with you.
I just want to throw one thing out there. When we do the hybrid, I would also think about the option of just live streaming, live feeding, and not be able to do anything.
Sure, yeah, I
And that
think.
may be the easiest way, the cleanest way,
Mhm.
that, you know, if you're not there, not even have questions, but you can live feed the thing.
Yeah.
You can live feed it.
Yeah.
I just want to include that, think about that, just to live stream it, so it might be a clean, easier way.
No, that's great. Yeah, I think we'll start off with what ideally we would be able to do. And then I think in the planning, and depending on what IT or the specific location tells us that we're capable of doing, then we can pare back. But we start with the best intentions, and then we deliver what we're able to deliver based off of the locations. Okay?
But great idea.
Yeah, it really, really is. Cool. That was it, Mr. Vice Chair?
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done.
Oh, thank you, and thank you. Ms. Hall?
And I'm getting ready to drop more documents.
No way.
And forgive any, any typos in this. Documents that I received from committee members who submitted their sections of the annual report. Carla had said he had a format that he'd like to see this put in. Opportunity to go to the format yet, but I just wanted to share with you what I have received.
Okay.
The narratives and things that I received. If somebody could share their computer with Danny, so Danny can see it as well.
Yeah.
I received sections from, the subcommittee working on highlights, the subcommittee working on recommendations. Danny did his prologue and overview a while back, and, as you can see in there the things that I am still, missing, or the things that we will be working on going forward. Once Calvin and Carla have decided on the format they want to use for this, I will plug and play this document to the format, and then send that format out to you all. If you have any comments on what you've received in terms of what, panel members, board members have submitted, give me those comments, and I will incorporate them in their documents. Some sections are missing or highlighted in yellow. That means that the people who prepared it didn't have that data, and then I will be filling in that information. There's, some dates and some numbers for things. Those things are highlighted in their documents in yellow. What we were hoping is that we get feedback on this, hopefully by Monday. I can turn this into a document once Calvin and Carla decide on the format. I can turn this into a first draft I can get to you guys, and hopefully when you get together on the 27th, if you get together on the 27th, I'm not setting the meeting for you. But if you get together on the 27th, we can have some back and forth before then, and then you all can finalize as much as possible as a whole committee, this document, and then we can come back as leadership, and finalize it and put it in a format that can be presented to council. Not a format, but in a final.
In the final version.
Okay. Okay. Yep, Carlo and I, Mr. Vice Chair, and I, we'll get together.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
looks
then
good.
we'll work on finishing the sections that weren't turned in well.
If you have any pictures that you've taken along the way, can you send them to me so we can kind of decide what pictures would go in the annual report to reflect, the work we've done? I know that we're still are we doing case reviews today?
Mhm.
I know we're doing some case reviews. I'm hoping that we'll have something for the case review section. It may not be data analysis, but for the case review section, even a plan of what what you've done so far, the draft form that you're looking at, the draft process, and if you decide on what that process is tonight, then we can put that process in there. And maybe what you have found thus far in a few cases that you have looked at, some kind of recommendations that you may want to make to the ACC, the things that they should look for, or the department and how, recommendations on how you should present it.
Not for me, no ma'am. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Denise. Ms. Hall?
Now, I know, in the leadership meeting on Monday, it was suggested that we try to get through at least one or two of those sections if it was possible tonight and get comments on it. I don't know if that's possible, but I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah,
Well,
I think I'd rather give people time.
Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
would be, fair, because we ended up spending an hour on that
Yeah.
without having prepared comments or questions
Okay,
from reading.
but I just wanted you to mention that it was.
Okay.
Do you want feedback on the report by Monday?
I would like to have feedback from everybody, please feedback on Monday.
On Monday?
Because if your section has not been done, we're gonna write that section, because we need to keep moving. And when we bring it back together, those sections that we have written, they're pretty much gonna be the final version, except for comments from the body.
Like, did you send out an email about comments? I thought I saw something.
Yeah.
So we moving that now? Or are we okay.
Yeah,
So you said by Monday?
Now, I'm saying for me to be able to try to turn this document around.
You want it to you by
I
Monday?
want it to me
Okay.
on Monday.
Monday is,
so that we can complete these parts.
Okay.
And
So
then,
when and I want you guys to give me your format.
yeah,
ASAP, so I can plug these things into whatever format.
and then we can do the sections that are still missing in that as well.
and that, okay.
And that way Denise can send out a draft version that'll be sort of the completed report
Well,
version.
it looks more like it.
Yeah, and then we'll have one more bite of the apple before we approve it.
So, Mr. Vice Chair, when you want you and I to get together on that?
I mean, you tell me, sir.
Okay. I like what Ms. Springs said, 2 weeks, but we're not gonna use her. So, I'll reach out to you this weekend. I know it's tough, and then, we can go through it.
I'm here for it.
Okay,
I'm here for it.
all right.
I make myself available.
You know what? Good stuff. Danny, did I see your hand up, sir? Yes, that's
I
enough.
don't think so.
Okay. All right. Nobody had their hand up? All right, cool, thank you. Let's, thank you, Ms. Hall. So we are going to review some cases, Mr. Vice Chair, look at some of the cases, okay. Can anyone make a motion so we can go into closed session to review some of those cases? Motion to go into closed session to review cases made by Marsha Ridley, seconded by Ms. Tamika Springs. All in favor to go into closed session to review, cases, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstaining? Okay. So I'll read the closing statement. Today's date is, December 13th. The time is now 7:38 p.m. The location is 9201 Basil Court in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, and we have several members virtual. And the purpose of going into closed session is to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom this public body has jurisdiction, and any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals. At this time, we're in closed session, and we will come back to those people that are in the waiting room at 7:30. All right, we are back in open session. The time is now 9:08 p.m.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to affirm some actions that we made in closed session.
Okay.
Make a motion that we reviewed cases, took a look at our form, and we have made some, recommendations for information that we want to capture in our review form.
Okay.
And, we also will start looking at parameters for requesting information from police departments for certain trends that we're starting to pick up on in case review.
Perfect. Okay. Motion, now, I'm not gonna get all that.
A motion to affirm that.
A motion to affirm the actions that were taken in the closed session was made by Mr. Vice Chair, seconded by Mrs. Springs. All in favor to affirm the actions taken in closed session, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Okay. Unanimous. Next up on the agenda would be announcements. I did speak with the ACC because of the schedule of everybody being off on vacation, things like that. I thought it would be important to maybe meet in January. Also, the administrator for the ACC is going to send over, some dates. She may want to give a training on the disciplinary matrix. So I told her, yes, so in January, she'll send over a couple of dates, and we'll pick what date we want her to give us a condensed training on the disciplinary matrix. Next up is the next meeting that Mrs. Springs wants to talk about. I propose, Mr. Vice Chair, that we have a meeting virtual. I know it'll be coming out of the Christmas holiday, and people may have guests and things like that. So, I think the majority of that meeting will be to discuss the annual report. So, I think we can discuss that virtual, if that's okay with everyone. That's my suggestion. Is everyone okay with that?
27th?
Yes, sir. Everybody okay with that? Okay. So our next meeting will be December 27th, at 6:30 p.m.
It was 6:30 a.m.
Yeah. Ms. O'Neill looked at you like something was wrong. 6:30 p.m.
It's right after the Christmas holiday.
We're gonna get it in. We're gonna get it in. We're gonna take, we on this train now. It's moving. All right,
It's 2 days after Christmas,
yes, sir. Yeah, yeah.
so I can't, when I open can I use all my Christmas presents?
As long as you have one for Mrs. Springs.
It's gonna be virtual, so I can't give it to her.
Okay, okay.
I'm talking about, the bottle of wine for.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, do your thing. Just go off camera real quick. That was good. All right, so that's all I have. Did, staff, you guys have anything? Any other member have anything? Welcome back, Mr. Vergamini. Oh, that's it. Anybody wanna make a motion to adjourn?
Adjourned.
It's good. Gracious tonight. A motion made by Mrs. Ridley to adjourn, seconded by Mrs. Spring. All in favor to adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Meeting adjourned at 9:11 p.m. Thank you to those who are online as well. Have a good evening.
Really, I was